consultations with various interest groups and stakeholders. Discussing this and many more on the program this morning is Dominion Brokers Group in-house analyst and also a social commentator, Charles Dolapo and Jory. Good morning. It's good to have you on the program this morning.
Good morning to you, Mr. Chike.
All right, a quick one. Well, Mr. President should be signing these 4 bills into law. What will this mean for Nigerians, especially the common man on the street?
Yes, these 4 bills are actually very important. You know, it's going to open up the economy. It means we have more revenues. You know, it's going to provide a very, very solid foundation, you know, for our revenue base in the nearest future. And that is if these 4 bills will be implemented as it should be.
Well, if you say it should be, now to the common man on the street, with the realities on ground, inflation and the reality economically, do you think these bills are meant to come up at this time? If they're meant to come up at this time, how should it be implemented so there shouldn't be double taxation, hardship among the people?
Yes, I think in the tax bill, for example, you have a section of the tax bill that insulates the earnings of the common man, whereby commodities, you know, won't be taxed. Also, you also have the corporate income tax, you know, that is meant for corporations and all that. You know, it has been jacked up, you know, by I think about 7% or thereabout. So in a way, it insulates the common man on the streets. Then for the implementation, I believe it's going to be in phases, not a whole implementation as it were.
Okay, it's not going to be. You're saying it shouldn't. It's not going to be a spontaneous.
Yes, spontaneous. It's going to be in phases. Yes.
Okay. Now there are people who have been insinuated that have been evading tax. For tax evaders, is this bill going to check or checkmate the whole thing at the moment?
You see, tax evasion is a very, very serious crime, most especially in the developed world. But, you know, we get away with tax evasion in Nigeria, you know, and mostly this is common among our political elites. It's common among the big men, you know, they evade taxes. The tax evasion inside the tax bill, I think it should be able to, you know, punish tax offenders. And, you know, this is where the National Assembly needs to sit down. Also, you know, sponsor more bills, you know, to serve as a deterrent, you know, for those who evade taxes. And, you know, before the government can even think on doing this, you know, the government must also show fidelity to the citizens, you know, by using themselves as an example. That is when Nigerian citizens would realize that, okay, if, for example, if Dangote is being penalized because he's evading tax, then the wheel of justice, you know, is going to also grind on me. So I think that way, if the federal government can actually show fidelity to Nigerian citizens that, okay, yes, tax evasion is going to be a capital crime and is going to attract capital punishment. Yeah, I think it will serve as a deterrent for tax evaders.
All right, now we'll be talking politics. The National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has dismissed claims that the party's 100th National Executive Committee meeting, scheduled for Monday, June 30th, 2025, has been postponed. A statement signed by key members of the National Working Committee on Wednesday also denied reports that Samuel Anyanwu has been reinstated as the party's national secretary. The NWC said the statement comes in response to a press briefing earlier in the day by the acting national chairman, Ambassador Umar Damagun. Damagun had announced the postponement of the NEC meeting and said Anyanwu is to resume as national secretary. Let's listen to Damagun this morning.
Anyanwu is resuming as the National Secretary. I think that's the most important thing. We have no option but to abide by the decision. After due consultation and everything, we thought it's a bitter pill, but we have to swallow it. Whether I want to use this opportunity to call on all our party faithful to know that it was a difficult decision, but survival of the party is more than all of us, more than everything that you feel that you yearn for.
All right, that's Damagun speaking there, the acting chairman of the national chairman of the PDP, People's Democratic Party. But rejecting Damagun's declarations, the National Working Committee said his pronouncements were contrary to the resolutions of the 99th NEC meeting, which scheduled the next NEC session for June 30 and referred all matters concerning the National Secretary's office to that meeting. Citing Section 31, subsection 3 of the PDP Constitution as amended in 2017, the National Working Committee emphasized the National Electoral Committee is the highest, National Executive Council, I beg your pardon, is the highest decision-making organ of the party after the National Convention, and that its resolutions are binding on all members and organs of the party. The National Working Committee described the announcement regarding Anyanwu's resumption as misleading and reaffirmed that the matter remains under the jurisdiction of the forthcoming NEC meeting. Well, let's get some perspective here. Dolapo, the PDP, still in disarray, still fighting the battle of a national secretary. How do you think they can resolve this issue? Well, nobody is bigger than the party. The party is bigger than any individual. However, how do they resolve this issue of, National Secretary, Supreme Court judgments, and all the hula baloo surrounding the PDP crisis at the moment?
You see, this crisis cannot be, how will I put it, cannot be solved, because the political actors behind the scene, they want to make PDP irrelevant. They want to take PDP out of the equation of 2027 election. It is just as simple as that. So this matter as it has turned a bone, in the truth of well-meaning Nigerians who are in the PDP, who wants, wants to take a different path. But unfortunately, one man feels he can, dictate the direction of the party. He feels he's bigger than the party, and even the faction trying to wrestle power from him, they are not sincere. Because
how do you mean? Break it down.
Yeah, because they also want to take the structure of the party, negotiate with it, with the ruling party. See,
that might just be a perspective. That might not just be the situation on ground. It could just be a perspective.
Of course, it's not an open perspective.
Yeah.
I know things. I'm closer to powers that be, and I know the things. I know so many things. Okay, let me just take it from this angle. As far back as, do you remember Emeka Ihedioha?
Yeah, yes. the former governor of
Imo State.
Yeah.
You see, right after...
former
impeached
impeached governor
of Imo
State.
State.
And then former House of Rep...
Deputy Speaker,
yes.
Now, in 2018 elections, when the People's Democratic had their primary elections, Ihedioha won the Imo governorship election. And a certain man in the PDP, I don't want to mention names, looked at it and felt, okay, if Emeka Ihedioha has won the governorship election, it means that an Emeka Ihedioha, in rank, would be higher in rank more than him. What did he do? He went in cahoots with the APC and with his influence in the judiciary and removed Ihedioha. He did that. That is on one side. On the flip side again, Senator Anyanwu, or no, not Senator rather, Anyanwu, Sam Anyanwu, who he backed as the national secretary of the party, frustrated Emeka Iyodioha out of the party. Emeka Iyodioha resigned from the party because he felt that with the combination of Tambuwal and Emeka Iyodioha, with their relationship, he would be relegated to the background. That's another side again. The same Sam Anyanwu, who was the national secretary, wanted, in fact, he contested for the governorship primary election of the party. And the constitution of PDP says that you must resign your position if you are holding any official position within the party before you contest the governorship election. Did Anyanwu resign? The answer is no. And this is a man that has been shouting equity, fairness, and justice. Now, Anyanwu, till today, and with court judgments and with the influence of the judiciary, is still the national secretary of the PDP.
But the national working committee,
he was elected. Yes, he was duly elected.
However,
yes,
the national working committee is saying, and even the national executive council of the party is saying, no, we don't want this. And well, the members who signed the statement passing a vote of no confidence on Sam Anyanwu as secretary of the PDP are the Deputy National Chairman South, Ambassador Taufik Arakbaja, the Acting National Secretary, Honorable Architect Setonji Kosheodo, and we also have the National Treasurer, Honorable Ahmed Yayari Mohammed. Yeah, we also have the National Auditor, Sir Okechukwu Obiechina Daniel, National Publicity Secretary, Honorable Debo Ologwangba. Also have the National Financial Secretary, Wonyengi Kuro Daniel. They also their National Vice Chairman Southeast, Chief Ali Odefa. We also have the Caretaker Committee Chairman South, Honorable Emmanuel Ogidi, National Woman Leader, Honorable Mrs. Amina Darasimi D. Ibrahim. Also have the National Vice Chairman Northwest, Senator Bello Hayatu Gwarzo. Also the National Vice Chairman Southwest, Honorable Ajishafe Kamoru Toyeshe. These are the people that signed, passed a vote of no confidence on the Senate, on Sam Anyanwu.
Now,
if they had done this, should the party decision be supreme, or should there be an external influence by the courts saying Anyanwu is still the national secretary, when the party is saying we don't want him as national secretary?
You don't want him as national secretary?
Yes.
Okay, I will come to that, but let me continue from where I stopped.
Okay.
Now, fast forward to 2023 elections, the build up to the elections. The G5 governors, they openly campaigned against their party's candidates. And aftermath of the election, Wike got an appointment, FCT minister. Members of the G5, they also thought that they will also get an appointment, in the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, or at least they will nominate a candidate, into this administration. Unfortunately for them, people like Governor Seyi Makinde, was bypassed in Oyo State. They didn't get any appointment. Now, you now look at the faction, the Wike faction. You look at the G5, no, not G5 faction in a way. Let me say Seyi Makinde's faction now within the PDP. He's finishing his second term. You have most of the governors in that camp who will be finishing their first term. They need a leverage to win their second term as governors in their respective states. Seyi Makinde still wants to be relevant at the national level. Now, when Wike got the appointments, he neglected the G5 governors. Most of them were angry. Now, even within the G5 ranks, so there is insinuations that they are like, okay, is there a crack within the G5? You still have someone who worked against the party, Governor Otom, nominated to be a lifelong member of the Board of Trustees. You know, he's there for an agenda. You have the former governor of Enugu State. Also,
Ifeanyi
Ugwuanyi in the board of trustees.
You also have Onyechi Ikpeazu. Yeah.
So when you look at the politics going on behind the scene, you would see that trying to bring PDP together as one family is not to the interest of Nigerians. It is to the interest and, you know, the serving selfishness, you know, of these political actors within the party. Now, the Seyi Makinde faction, you have Bala Mohammed also posturing. You know, they are finishing their second term in office.
Yeah.
Most of them still wants to be relevant in national politics. And what are they trying to do? Use PDP as a tool, wrestle it away from Nyesom Wike, because that's the only leverage Nyesom Wike has with Bola Ahmed Tinubu. If the PDP structure is wrestled away from Nyesom Wike, it means that Bola Ahmed Tinubu would have to look towards another person in PDP to continue destabilizing the party. It means Nyesom Wike would be relegated to the background, and, you know, it will not be relevant in the scheme of things. Nyesom Wike is trying to still hold the party structure as a leverage, as a negotiation tool. The other faction led by Seyi Makinde, they know that anybody they field under the PDP does not have the capacity to challenge President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2027. In fact, a bird, you know, whispered in my ear 2 years ago that in one of those factions, they don't even know how much it costs to run a presidential campaign. You know, unfortunately, they were making their research, you know, and it got to, you know, one of the leaders within the party, you know. That's why I said it got whispered into my ears.
Well, so, when you say a bird whispered into your ears,
yes,
you have to tell us the kind of bird. Is it a woodpecker or is it a kingfisher?
Well, it's an ostrich.
Well, meanwhile, Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has declared that the acting national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, that's Umar Damagun, cannot direct the national secretary, Samuel Anyanwu, to resume his duties as the party's national secretariat. Wike said Anyanwu is not Damagun's appointee. Hence, the acting PDP national chairman cannot direct him to resume his duties. The minister spoke during the commissioning of the newly constructed interchange bridge in Abuja. Let's listen to the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike.
Sule is doing well because Ebola Tinubu is doing well too.
Because when I was coming, I watched on national television, even though this is not a political rally. But anyhow, it's still politics. I heard it when the acting national chairman of PDP was directing the national secretary to resume. National secretary is not your appointee. National secretary has been doing his work, so you can't call him to resume because of the illegalities you perpetrate, and that you don't show leadership. That's where you put yourself where you are. It is nobody's making. National Secretary has been working and will continue to work. It doesn't require anybody to direct him to resume work. It's because of the ignorance of the law. Too bad. Too bad. The law does not recognize ignorance. That you are not, that you are ignorant of the law. It's not an excuse. It's not an excuse. And so I feel so bad when people can now move to INEC for INEC to direct them to obey Supreme Court judgment. It's most unfortunate. A political party would now go and ask from INEC, what do we do? INEC will now direct you, go and obey Supreme Court judgment. You see, when you shoot yourself, you say somebody that shot you. Continue to shoot yourself. I will not be party of those that will shoot myself. On that note. When you don't know something, ask the right person. When you don't know something, ask the right person. Don't because of ego. Don't because of, oh, I'm receiving monthly allocation. Money does not solve all problem. If you didn't dare, you didn't dare. Nothing you can do about it. If you want to learn, come and meet us. We'll teach you how to go about it.
All right, Wike there. Well, the choir there got me. Well, the choir sang, then they fear you, Wike. Okay, so Wike is feared in the PDP. And then when he says, if you don't have it, you don't have it. And he said, if he didn't dare, he didn't dare. That's Wike there. Well, quotes on the marble by the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory. Well, Wike is feared in the PDP. Now, some have said, for you to decimate the powers of Nyesom Wike, that you should speak to Fubara. Fubara is the key to decimating the powers of Wike, in the sense that if Fubara agrees to join the APC, Fubara becomes a leader in Rivers State, and Wike is relegated. And all the powers that he wields in Rivers State will all just go down the drain. How true is that? That's some political permutation.
That's not entirely true.
Okay.
Because even if Fubara moves to the APC and he becomes the leader of APC, he's just a ceremonial leader. It doesn't hold the old structure, doesn't hold the structure, the total structure. The question is, does Fubara have, does he have the State House of Assembly? That's number one. Does he have the local government chairman? That's number two. You know, those are the structure of the party. Is he in charge of the, will he be in charge of the party and the party politics? Does he have the national state secretary of the party? Does he have the chairman of the party? Because if Fubara moves to the APC, don't forget that he's going to be moving to the APC on the insistence of Mr. President.
So Sheriff of Bovowori of Delta State, he moved to the APC. He has a structure.
Yes, he has a structure.
Governor Umo Eno of Akwa Ibom State moved to APC.
That's the difference. That's the difference between Delta State and Rivers State. There's a difference. Their situation is not similar. You know, Governor Sheriff in Delta State is in charge. He moved with his godfather, Okowa. So he is in charge. For Pastor Umo Eno, he moved with, I think, some part of the...
But his godfather did not move.
He didn't move.
Emmanuel Udom, his godfather, former governor,
he didn't move. Yes. So already, you know, when he moved, I think I said on this show that Governor Umo Eno already has a problem on his hands. He has a massive problem in his hands. Some of his commissioners, I think about 2 or 3, had to resign. They didn't move with him. You know, the political variables in different states, you know, is different from Delta, Rivers, and Akwa Ibom. But at the moment, right now, Fubara doesn't seem to be controlling anywhere. If he's reinstalled as the governor, he is not controlling anywhere. In fact, he would be dictated to do this, and that would be from Abuja. So Fubara is like a stopgap, you know, to check Nyesom Wike excesses. If Nyesom Wike decides to move mad, Mr. President is remoting both Wike and Fubara. They don't know this. Of course, I think they know, because they are not political babies. They know. So Rivers State is in a way is in the hands of Mr. President, and it would, you know, remote whoever is in charge, whichever way it feels like. So President Tinubu, when he operates, you know, he doesn't give anything to chance. You know, he always have somebody in a particular place that will checkmate your move if you decide to move.
So what if he decides to move away from the Wike camp?
Ooh, Fubara.
No, the president.
If he decides to move from the Wike camp, he's going to empower Fubara. And Fubara will now in turn deal with Nyesom Wike. But for now, that Wike is still relevant to the president. It's still useful. That is why when you circle back to his last media chats, you know, you would notice, for people who understand politics, who understand the machinations of politics, he was shouting, I am an asset to Mr. President. I am an asset to the PDP. I am an asset. You know, something definitely is wrong in the background. You know, he's saying that so that Mr. President would like, this guy is still an asset. He won't move to other person. You see, the defections now into the APC in a way would decimate Nyesom Wike's usefulness in APC, because what Mr. President needs is that, you know, the PDP must be destabilized. They must be, you know, checkmated, and, you know, there should be no body, there should be no tiger in PDP that would, you know, come as a monster, or let me say as a major force that will face Mr. President. So when you have governors decamping to the APC, so what's the usefulness of Wike in the APC? So it means that they will start looking away from him, and, you know, power might shift from his base to another base. And, you know, Wike, you know, is trying to do everything within his power, you know, to make sure that PDP is not relevant. Yes, he's not relevant in the scheme of things come 2027 elections.
PDP seem to be a house divided against itself.
As far as I'm concerned, they are dead at the national level. You know, in the states, they will still be relevant in some states. They will still remain as an alternative vehicle, you know, for opposition politics, or to, you know, take assume the role of bigger or lead the conversations, you know, in certain states.
All right. Well, sometimes assets could be deactivated.
Yes, assets could be deactivated.
President Bola Tinubu has broken his silence on the growing coalition seeking to unseat him in 2027, dismissing its key actors as politically displaced persons in search of a new abode. Interested. During a visit to Lafia, Nasarawa State, where he commissioned several legacy projects by Governor Abdullahi Sule, the president declared that he would not remain quiet while gangsters from a coalition is said to unseat him. Let's listen to President Bola Tinubu.
Sule is doing well, because Bola Tinubu is doing well too. Those who have triggered the alley politics and the partition of coalition, suddenly, just don't pay them any attention. They are the political IEPs. Don't give them a home. The hope is here. Sule is doing well. We will support whatever a Governor Sule brings about to work harder for the prosperity and renaissance of Nasarawa State. That's what we stand for. I'm not geared for what they try to pull on me, early political campaign. But who is a politician who will keep quiet when the gangsterism are forming a coalition to unseat themselves?
Well, President Bola Tinubu, there some humor there, but he called them the coalition a team of gangsters, and says he will not keep quiet until because these guys are regrouping themselves. However, telling party faithfuls to ignore the gangsters. How would you ignore people you call gangsters? Gangsters are dangerous. Don't you think so?
Yes. You see, I'm very happy. He shows one thing, that the president is restless and is threatened. You know, I like the fact that they call them internally displaced politicians. I would also say that Tinubu is talking like an, you know, internally threatened politician.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, you know, he's threatened by the coalition. You know, I think day by day, the coalition group seems to be getting their acts together. and, you know, they are really moving. And I think he can see the lines on the wall. And I think in a recently conducted polls, the president has lost quite a number of supporters, most especially in the northwest region and, you know, in the northeast region. And those are the places where he got his major votes. So if he loses northwest, it means that the coalition will capitalize on the gains of the northwest and the northeast. So the shout, the uproar of trying to endorse the president without the vice president in the northeast, you know, should tell us something. That something is in the offing. That Kashim Shettima, you know, in a way, they are trying to see, okay, can we drop him? Can we bring someone
if you look at that permutation,
yes,
dropping a Kashim Shettima as vice president for a second term, what implication will that have when it comes to the votes from the Northern Bloc?
Yeah, so it means they would have to look for someone stronger in the northwest, someone like I think they are looking towards the Kwakwanso in the northwest, or, you know, pick a Ribadu, who is the National Security Advisor, NSA, you know, from the northeast, you know, to consolidate the loss, you know, from the northeast and the northwest. Don't forget that Ribadu is also playing a long-term game in preparation for 2031. Now, if power is coming down to the north, the south, they are also positioning. That's why you see the likes of Wike and Akpabio seriously scheming.
So where's the equation of the southeast in this whole permutation?
Thank you very much. You see, politics is it's not about emotions. It's about cold calculations. When you look at it from 1999 up to this moment, presidency has always been a basketball between the southwest and the northwest. The only time a neutral region broke that passing of the ball was when Yar'Adua died. President Goodluck Jonathan was able to, you know, resume as acting president, and he contested duly in 2011 and won the election. When power was going back to the north, he didn't go back to North Central. He went back to the northwest. He didn't go to the northeast. Now, when power was coming down south from the northwest, he didn't go to the southeast, because South has already had their own fair share of presidency. Southwest has already had their own fair share of presidency. Where did the presidency go? It came down to the southwest. Now, in 3 electoral cycles, it has been proven that you don't need the southeast in the scheme of things to become president. President Muhammadu Buhari did it in 2015. He did it in 2019. President Tinubu did it in 2023. 3 electoral cycles that you don't need the southeast region.
So where then do you have
now
equity, fairness and justice in the whole scheme of things?
Thank you very much. You see, this is where the likes of Wike, this is where their selfishness has come to play. And this also explains why, you know, a certain man made sure that Dior, who is a very strong pillar in the southeast, was, you know, decimated and, you know, erased from the scheme of things, to make sure that you would have a very free access, you know, to the presidency. But unfortunately, it didn't work out for him. So now, if the presidency is coming down south in 2031, the southeast, as it is at the moment, they are not in play. They are not in play. Only the south is in play. So now the people are saying that, okay, they think that, okay, the logical argument for the southeast to become relevant in the scheme of things, and the only person that they feel can wrestle the power from the center and give southeast a chance is Atiku Abubakar. Like, if Peter Obi would deputize him, so automatically power will return to the southeast.
You think that's feasible?
Well, on paper it is feasible, but when you get to the field of politics, you know, things change.
Why should the southeast play second fiddle?
Because the southeast has not been able to, you know, position themselves strategically. You find out that this politics that Southeast is playing, it has affected them from the most part. Take as an example the 1979 election. You know, it was supposed to be a handshake between Awolowo and Nnamdi Azikiwe. Don't forget that Azikiwe was not in the equation to run in 1979. Azikiwe was supposed to, you know, throw his weight behind Awo so that Awo could win the election. But what happened? Azikiwe joined the race, and, you know, he divided the votes that was supposed to be a large chunk of votes, you know, for Awolowo. The same thing, similar thing, repeated himself in 2023 elections. You know, Peter Obi was not supposed to, you know, to contest that election, you know, and, you know, he decimated, you know, the large chunk of vote that was supposed to be for PDP, you know, and, you know, the rest is history
now.
As we speak now. 2027, they are trying so hard to make sure that Obi runs independently. Then you have the coalition, you have the PDP, so that the votes can be divided, so that the ruling party can have, you know, an easy passage, you know, to win the election. So politics is fluid. It's so fluid, and it should be devoid of emotions. But I am happy that the coalition at the moment, you know, it's causing sleeplessness in Aso Rock.
It's causing a stir politically.
Yes, stir politically.
Especially in the corridors of power.
Yeah, but I will begin to take them seriously if they can build momentum up to this level. And what level am I talking about? You know, they need to build that momentum to 2027 in such a way that any security agents, any security apparatus, whether the soldier, the navy, who attempt to rig 2027 election, would realize that they will pay with their lives. How do I know this? I was opportuned to listen to a recorded conversation in 2015. I won't mention names, where a certain figure within the ranks of President Jonathan, you know, called General so in Borno State that the president must not lose election in the north, that they should find a way to upturn it. And the general said, "Sir, if we attempt to tamper with the vote, with what we are seeing here, we will pay dearly with our lives." So the coalition must be able to build the momentum of 2027 to this level, whereby it will send jitters to Aso Rock, and even the president will know that if he attempts to upturn the election, Nigeria might go up in flames. Well, we need to see that palpable momentum.
But we don't pray.
We don't pray.
Nigeria goes up in flames, and I know Mr. President is a Democrat and also a gentleman, being former governor of Lagos State and being the leader of the party. Well, thank you, Charles Dolapo and Johnny, for being here this morning. Yeah. Thank you for throwing some insights. However, you gave us a bird, but a bird without a name.
Yes, maybe later I would review the name of the bird. You know.
All right, let's keep this conversation going. Do follow us on all our social media platforms on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. The handle is @Dominion Broadcasts. On the app X is @Dominion Cast. You can visit our website at www.dominion.org.ng. My name is Chike Ubogu. Stay positive and have a nice day.